Hey everyone, this is Stephanie O'Brien. Today I'm designing one of the characters for my upcoming novel, Upholding the Covenant. In Upholding the Covenant, Ambassador Huion is sent to a neighboring country to try and persuade the local people to join his people's rebellion against an empire that's been abusing and exploiting both their species for a long time. But while he's there, he strikes up a close friendship with one of the local children, which makes the stakes in the war he's trying to start a lot more personal. That child is Kivara, the little bundle of mischief I'm designing today. My goal with this kitten is to make her look like the adorable little shit that she is, because this is a story of an endearing friendship between a nerd ambassador and a jock baby, and that jock baby is a precious little terror. Now, the Charishi are a feline species, as you can see, and they start out in a very quadrupedal state, a lot like house cat kittens. Now, during these early stages, they can actually be pretty easily mistaken for house cat kittens if it weren't for their rounded ears with their giant lynx tips. The texture on those furry ear tips is a lot like a bird's wing. The big flight feathers with the stiff, soft strands. So, as they grow to their toddlerhood stage, they start to metamorphose into their adult bipedal state. In this bipedal state, they retain a lot of their feline instincts, the desire to rub heads when they're feeling affectionate, growl when they're angry, to slap you across the face with your claws if you push them too far. But they also start to develop more human-like behavior, so they probably wouldn't appreciate it being classified as human-like, because it is in fact Charishi, and humans don't have a corner on that kind of behavior. So for Kivara, I had a bit of trouble drawing her because, confession time, even though I'm an artist who's lived with cats my whole life, I don't really know how to draw cats. So this required a lot of trial and error. Now, one of the issues that the Charishi have run into in-universe, aside from their creators' difficulties drawing them, is that their beast-like features have often given the more racist people in their universe an excuse to look down on them, which, when some of those more racist people are in charge of running the empire that they're living under, can be a pretty dang big problem. This has often resulted in the Charishi being neglected, exploited, and sometimes outright abused, which is a big part of the reason why Narrated is there, trying to persuade them to rebel. Kivara, of course, doesn't know any of this. All she knows is that there's this great big grown-up who has scales and no fur and smells like affection and warmth and gives very good belly rubs and sometimes gives her pudding when he isn't supposed to. Narrated is a big, sweet guy, and while he is quite capable of disintegrating your face with magic, he has a huge soft spot for children, and Kivara knows how to tap right into that. You see that little face? That is a little face that will scream like an air raid siren and frantically rub you until you give her a bit of your pudding, inhale it so fast that you wonder if she's even tasting it, and then rub you in gratitude and love, smearing you with affection and all the pudding she managed to smear on her cheeks. That is the little face of a baby who has noticed something that she wants to learn about, and she is going to try and learn about it by smacking it. Such is the way of Kivara. Now, one of the challenges I ran into with designing Kivara's species was I had a hard time figuring out unique features for them. Narrated species, I came up with idea after idea, but for the Charishi, I tried to figure out ways to make them look distinctive from normal cats, with thought of horns, antlers, extra limbs. Nothing really felt quite right except for these round ears with the great big lynx tips. So if I think of anything else, I might change this design later, but for now, Kivara's distinguishing feature is those great big ears. Now, not every Charishi has ears that big. She's actually a bit of an unusual case that way. Normally, they're a little bit smaller, but she is just a little baby with giant ears and a personality to match. Her body is pretty much the only thing about her that's small. Her ears are huge, her voice is huge, her attitude is huge, her capacity to cause trouble is huge. The difficulty she gave me drawing her was also huge, but that was really my fault for never learning to draw cats. Another thing about her that's huge is her enthusiasm for her friends and her occasional ineptitude at showing it. Kivara logic says that how you show affection is by rubbing your head on people. And if you have a lot of affection for someone, you have to show that you love them a lot. If you love someone as hard as you can, then you have to show them you love them as hard as you can. Maximum head rubs! And that is why if she loves you, she will headbutt you. If you're crying and she's sitting on your shoulder, she will try and headbutt your tears away. That rough tendency also extends to other things she wants to go away. If you're a dock worker who just dropped a box loudly and scared her, while her more sensible siblings hide or run, Kivara will run onto the dock, start hissing and spitting and bouncing and somersaulting around your crate, while boxing with it as if she can defeat the crate and make it stop making scary noises. Now, as you can see from the early sketch, I was originally planning to have Kivara's tail sticking kind of straight out, because if you've ever seen videos of really young kittens, you might notice that their tails tend to just stick straight out like an antenna growing out of their butts, and as they walk it kind of wags side to side like, "Nuh-uh, nuh-uh, you can't touch this." but it just didn't quite look right. Maybe I drew Kivara looking a little bit too grown up for that to still work, but yeah, the straight tail just wasn't doing it for me. Now when it comes to that soft little belly of hers, Kivara has some very firm opinions. One is that belly needs to be rubbed. Another is that the hand that is rubbing her belly should be played with. And a third is that these two things should happen at the same time. You can give her affection and play with her at the same time, right? The people giving her affection tend to disagree. She doesn't understand why. One unfortunate side effect of that rambunctious nature of hers is sometimes her siblings just kind of get tired of her crap. Yes, they want to play rough too sometimes, but sometimes they just want to sit quietly in a lap and be stroked, and then she leaps onto that lap and starts prancing around and eating and rubbing, and one of her siblings actually gets so sick of it she smacks her clean off the lap. One of her siblings wants to stare at a top and analyze it and to ponder the mysteries of the universe, Kivara will pounce on the top. When her siblings tries to figure out a puzzle feeder, Kivara will knock the puzzle feeder over and start eating out of it, and then wonder why she just got pounced on. Which is all the more reason why she and Arenian tend to get along a bit better than she has with her siblings. Gets to the point where she's annoyed her siblings so much that she needs to go find a playmate she hasn't annoyed. And the number of times I adjusted that smile, I wanted it to be kind of a flat, wide smile. This little head you could kind of hold like an idiot sandwich. Flat little head with a round little body. A number of different times I experimented with those stripes, I'm telling you. But I did like it a lot better once it was colored in and you had those little eyebrow things. To me, the picture just didn't look right for most of this time, which of course is normal when it's starting out. Quite often my art just starts out looking discouragingly bad and then eventually toward the end starts to come together. But I didn't really feel like it was really coming together until I had those little eyebrow ticks. And from there, the rest of the stripes are just kind of gravy. Took me quite a while to figure out a pattern I was happy with. I wanted something that was, pretty and elegant, but didn't look too dramatic for an adorable little kitten. I'm going for a little mischief muffin, not for a badass scary kitty. I tried a few different ways to kind of emulate the M that you tend to see on tabby cats' faces, but it just didn't quite look right for Kivara. I think it was a bit, too much dark on the top of her head. Plus, once again, I was trying to get away a little bit from the typical Earth cat appearance. I wanted there to be a bit more distinctiveness. And all these complicated stripes are going to make it a little bit awkward a few seconds when I start trying to add the ear fur and, trying to adjust the ears, because I've still got the ears kind of hiding behind the head, which isn't quite anatomically correct. One of those things that you kind of notice your whole life and but you don't realize how little you know how something looks until you actually try and draw it. The ear fur was also a bit of a challenge. It didn't quite seem right doing it the same color as the rest of her fur, but at the same time it still kind of looks a bit separate from the rest of her fur in a way that looks a little bit unnatural. And drawing cats is a learning curve that is definitely ongoing, but I'm doing my best with this picture. I was originally planning to add all the stripes before I added the white to her body, but it kind of got to the point where the lack of the white was too distracting. Sometimes when you're drawing something, you just got to remove the elephant in the room before you can attend to the details, because having that elephant in the room just gets to the point where it's too distracting and it makes it hard to really focus on whether you're getting the details right. So adding that white, I think, helped a lot to bring the picture together and to bring her closer to my original vision of what I wanted her to look like. Now we get to the part where I start wanting to pet her fluffy little back, and I think that's a good sign. Now, I wanted to make her a really cute little kitten, and the fact that I'm now starting to be tempted to pet my own drawing is, I think, a good sign that I'm going in the right direction. Certainly works on Arenian. Arenian is a very naturally effusive person, which he doesn't always get the chance to express given his very formal, high-ranking job, but he's very naturally soft and friendly and affectionate, especially towards small children and fluffy creatures. And Kivara is a very demanding baby. Pet me, hold me, pet me now. Hey, why are you walking past my playpen? You didn't pick me up, get back here! So that's a big part of the reason why they get along so well. They just, she's a very affectionate, demanding kitten, and he's a very affectionate guy who often has to really hold himself back around small children and cute fluffy creatures, because he wants to be respectful of their boundaries. He doesn't want to upset them or make them feel smothered or threatened or anything, but he really just wants to pick them up and hold them. That's a big part of how the jock baby and the nerd ambassador become such good friends. It's kind of like humans and real-life cats. We don't necessarily understand each other, and Kivara understands pretty much jack nothing. But we rub on each other, and therefore we become best friends. Though another part of the basis of that friendship is actually Kivara's nose. See, that little triangle is her main source of information about the world. A popular Charishi saying is, you can teach your face and voice to lie, but your scent will tell the truth. Charishi kittens can smell emotions, and they will absolutely judge you by your scent. If you smell scared or angry, they'll get stressed and freaked out, but if you smell like love, they'll instinctively feel safe with you. And Ambassador Aurelian smells like the kind of love that happens when the kitten in front of you is just too cute, so your chest feels like it's going to explode and your brain melts into adjective soup and starts drooling out of your mouth with rainbow cotton candy verbal diarrhea. Who's a good baby? Who's a precious snuggly little fluffle muffin? Yes, you are. Oh shit, I've been witnessed. He keeps his dignity in front of other adults, and if he's caught, blathering onto the kitten, he will get embarrassed. But Kivara knows how much he baby talks behind closed doors. Ah, there we go. Her eyes are looking a lot better. I wasn't so sure I liked the flat color of her eyes. Adding that bit of highlight makes them look a lot more real and bright and focused. Unfortunately, there is still the nagging problem of those ears. Gotta fix those ears, stripes and all. Now, at least having that bit of white around her eyes and her little eyebrow ticks, I think that really tied it together a lot. It's a subtle change, but sometimes a subtle change can just do so much to make the piece of art feel right. I'm still not entirely sure that I'm happy with this ear fur. I want her to have slightly different colored fur in her ears, but I'm not quite happy with how it looks. It doesn't fully look like an integrated part of her body, but that's something I might tweak later. For now, here's the horrible, adorable little fur monster in all her mischievous glory. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please let me know in the comments, or if you have any ideas or feedback on how I could make future videos like this more engaging, I'd love to know that too. Also, if you want to stay tuned and get notified when more videos like this come out, when I release further information about upholding the Covenant and Narrated and Kivara, and if you want to know when the book comes out, please don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to read a short story about Kivara, or to get physical objects with this art on them, please look in the description for the links. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have an amazing day.